This is Fox 5 News Morning.
Coming up, Bill Cosby ordered to stand trial yesterday. It wasn't really a surprise there. Expected that to happen. Now the question is, how do you seat a jury for somebody who was so famous and was once beloved by so many people? We'll get some expert help coming up next.
Well, for years, he made America laugh, but the spotlight on Bill Cosby has grown harsh, with more than 50 women accusing the legendary comedian of sexual misconduct. And now one of those cases is going to trial.
Yesterday, a judge ruled there was enough evidence for Cosby to stand trial on criminal sexual assault charges for a crime that allegedly happened more than a decade ago. Cosby accused of drugging and assaulting a former Temple University employee at his home in 2004. He faces the possibility of a 10-year prison sentence.
So how do you prosecute or defend a man that millions once looked up to? Joining us now, criminal defense attorney Bernard Grimm. Good morning. Thanks for being with us once again.
Good morning, Allison, Steve. Thank you.
It's the $10 million question. How do you expect a juror to separate Bill Cosby, the legendary comedian and actor, from Bill Cosby accused of these heinous crimes?
Well, I mean, I watched Dr. Huxtable, sort of just your guy that you think would be your father or grandfather. So it's hard to separate it out, but you got to consider your demographics. Norristown is... I brought my associate here. I hope she's got the figures. 45% white, 35% black, then Asian, Hispanic. That's your jury pool. Those are the people you're going to have to decide will decide the fate of your client. But it's not jury selection. People think jury selection begins whenever. It's actually jury exclusion. You're not picking people, you're excluding people that you don't like, that are going to probably vote if your defense guilty, if your prosecution not guilty.
So if you're the defense attorney here, we'll play to your strong suit, who do you want to exclude from this jury pool?
Well, I'll tell you who I want on the jury are African-American women. Women, generally speaking, by and large, just unpack things much easier. They're more critical on women. They're more critical on a woman who said, I went there, he gave me Benadryl, then he had sex with me, and then she later on went to a stand-up routine he had in Toronto, and then she asked him, can you get tickets for my family? You know, that to me is reasonable doubt. Well, who I don't want on the jury are, no offense, Steve, I don't want white men. People think racism's over. It's not, believe me, it's not. I don't want white men on that jury.
And why not?
Because my client's black. I mean, just be as simple and as raw and as offensive as that sounds, that's it. And it's also, Norristown is not Washington, D.C. It's a small town, and they're all wonderful and they're all fine people, but, you know, those things are still on the forefront, which is, you know, he's African-American, yeah, he did it. That's the mentality that goes through people's head. I'm sad to say it, but that's the mentality that goes through folks' heads.
What about the fact that this happened a decade ago and that this defendant didn't report it right away? How does that play in?
Yeah, excellent point. I mean, they just got their fanny over the fence. The statute of limitations expires in about 9 months. What happened is Cosby opened his fat mouth. There was she sued him civilly. She didn't bring any criminal charges. That case settled, but it was a sealed settlement. Neither side could talk about it. Then Cosby started to talk about it, and then she said, listen, if you're going to talk about it, I want the whole thing unearthed. And in there, he talked about past incidents. So that his deposition got unearthed, not to get so hyper-technical here in the morning while folks are trying to wake up, but that got unsealed, and then that provided the basis for these current criminal charges. Had he kept his mouth shut, we wouldn't be sitting here.
So what do you think happens?
What do I think happens? I don't know. It's a $50 million question. If I said he's going to be found not guilty, my phone's going to ring and he's going to hire me. I don't know. Clients always ask me, you know, Mr. Grimm, how's the case look? What's going to happen? I just never guess because it's unfair to a client. But if somebody had a gun to my head right now, I'd have to say not guilty. Allison's point, I mean, almost a decade has gone by since this happened. After he sexually assaulted her, according to her, she went back and met with him again. Then she went to one of his stand-up routines. Then she said, can you get tickets for my family to come to it? So that makes me a little bit, that gives me doubt.
Okay.
And doubt is all it takes.
That's right.
Next court date, July, and then we'll see when the trial, and then, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come back and play with us.
Okay.
Okay, all righty.